Kevin? What in the world are we doing?
What?
What is this? I'm sitting there just listening to some great music, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, I got my headset on, and I'm supposed to be like talking about Texas stuff. But what am I listening to David Lee Roth and Eddie Van Halen for? What was that? What is this?
Didn't you hear Eddie Van Halen passed away this week?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I did.
So I just wanted to honor them.
Last time I checked, is I did a Wikipedia study on Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
They're from the Netherlands.
Oh, really? What are you trying to say?
I just asking the question, how are we going to tie the death of our beloved Eddie Van Halen to How to Be a Texan?
I'm sweating over here now. The tables have turned.
Always. There's and I'll extend all the grace you want, because every time you ask the question, what
does this have to do with Texas?
I've heard that so many times, and somehow there's a loose string that I can pull at and get it back.
Tables have turned. Well, first of all, that was a cover of a Roy Orbison song.
Yes, well played.
A great Texan.
Yes.
Roy Orbison.
Absolutely.
He was born in Vernon, Texas.
Okay,
I believe.
I didn't know he was from Vernon. Okay, nice.
I'm pretty sure.
That was a great cover, though, regardless.
It was a great cover.
It doesn't matter. Van Halen's all. You know, frankly, I don't care. I loved Van Halen. Their 1984 album still rings true to me as one of my favorite albums of all time. Because you and I were 80s kids. I mean, we're high school in our 80s. And, man, Van Halen was awesome. So, anyway, but now how
Completely
exactly?
agree.
How, other than the tie of the cover of a song that Roy Orbison played, tell me again how we're going to...
We're going to go on a long and winding journey
Yes,
today.
I love those.
There's going to be some ups and some downs,
Okay.
and some highs and some lows.
I'm ready. I'm ready to listen. I've got my whoopee. I'm just going to sit tight and just listen to a song by Fireside Chat of Cat.
Yeah, and there is a very, very touching story of a connection that Eddie Van Halen has to a famous Texan. I'm not sure that I would call him like a Texas legend necessarily. But definitely a famous Texan that actually grew up in Arlington.
Okay.
And went to my high school.
Let's do it.
Dimebag Darrell.
Dimebag Darrell.
That was part of Pantera.
Yeah. Were you a big Pantera fan?
I was not, actually.
Right.
He graduated Arlington High in 85. I started my sophomore year in 86 at Arlington High. I didn't know him, but several friends knew him, and as they were already popular around town, and they went on to sell millions and millions of albums.
I'm not a super heavy metal guy, but that dude was freaking awesome. Guitarist.
He was awesome, and Eddie was his his influence. Yeah. So we will tie that story back in. Towards the end of the episode.
Okay, so Dimebag Darrell and the Roy
There's a
Orbison
special relationship.
Cover.
Yeah.
Okay,
so there's a couple things here.
And Van Halen came to Texas a bunch.
They did, actually.
They
actually
not
did a free show in the West End, like in 1991. They just showed up randomly.
No way.
In Dallas, yeah, did a free show. That was during the Sammy Hagar era.
Oh, man.
So that's kind of another cool Texas connection there.
Yeah. Boy, that's a real dilemma. The Sammy Hagar versus the David Lee Roth era. Mm-hmm. Were you a fan of either?
I really was bummed at first when David Lee Roth was, when they announced that he was gone.
Oh, I was shattered.
I was like, well, who can ever do that?
Yeah, that dude is awesome.
If you ever hear his vocals, Andrew, there's nobody that can compare to his vocal capabilities.
David Lee Roth, man, he could bring it.
It was crazy. Yeah,
but
it was crazy.
Sammy Hagar, he could bring it too.
He could bring it too, and their style changed.
It did.
It changed, but it was still really, really good, I thought.
It was. It was.
Jumped out on that road.
Oh, look at that.
Nice job, Andrew.
Man.
Is that Andrew singing over there?
That's David Lee Roth, yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah,
I like that. What? Okay.
I don't know why that's in the vocal track.
I
wonder if you can
a whoopee chord.
Hold on, let's do a quick little experiment here. I wonder if you can actually hear that in the.
Oh, you can totally hear it.
Track.
Yeah.
Really?
That's in Running with the Devil.
Oh,
yeah.
I never noticed.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
you can totally hear it. I didn't realize he was playing that instrument though.
Yeah, it's just. I bet he just kind of saw it and just started playing it.
But yeah, look it up and play it, and we'll hear it.
Okay.
But yeah, so I was bummed, but then. But I also was already a Sammy Hagar fan. I knew of Sammy Hagar.
Yeah.
You can't drive 55, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
The vocals.
I think it's at the beginning of the song, Andrew, is where that sound effect
Where he played
is.
the little whoopee instrument.
Yeah.
Okay.
Said
Yeah.
it was like.
I'm pretty sure it's like at the close to the beginning.
No, there it is.
Oh my
It's in that. It's in that solo. Hold on.
It's in that solo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah. No, I always heard that. I didn't realize Dave Lee Roth was like playing that live. That's hilarious, man. But I was a Sammy Hagar fan kind of anyway.
Okay.
But then I thought, well, that seems like an odd pairing, but I think it turned out to be pretty good.
Did he do that? I Can't Drive 55 with Van Halen or
No,
solo?
before as part of his
was-
solo career.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how I knew him. That was kind of his popular song, but I had listened to a lot of his other stuff too.
Okay. All right. So getting back, so the impetus for this is Eddie Van Halen, phenomenal guitarist. He died, a week ago? Just this week?
Roughly. Yeah. About a week ago.
Yeah. It seemed like Monday or Tuesday the news came out that he had died with his family, I think at home. And I read all about it. And he was 65 years old. He'd been battling cancer.
For a long time.
A long time,
Yeah.
long time, and it's interesting that the kind of the plight of the saga of his health over the last say 10 years or so. It's been it's been a journey and a battle. So anyway, okay, so we're going to talk about Eddie. We're going to talk about Van Halen. We're going to talk about Dimebag Darrell.
And the very sweet story between those two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
let's do it, man. Let's get into Eddie Van
Okay,
Halen.
go.
All right. So back in the day,
I've got my whoopee, my pacifier, and my little fireside chat story begins now with Ted.
yeah. So we had done a episode on Stevie Ray Vaughan, a few episodes ago, just about how he was such an amazing guitarist, and really
was.
Eddie. Yeah, was before Stevie Ray was popular, right?
Yeah.
And Eddie really kind of changed fundamentally the electric guitar in a big way.
Speaking of, did you know that so Eddie was born in 1955 in Amsterdam, Netherlands. No kidding. Then they came over in 1962, he and his brother Alex and their mom and dad, and they settled in California. But his guitar skills, I didn't realize. I thought he and Stevie Ray Vaughan were right there together, but he was older. He was
before.
like at least 10 years old.
Yeah. So Van Halen got popular kind of in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
And
you remember Stevie Ray because it was the early 70s where he really came on as the 12-year-old. Remember?
Yeah, he was a kid.
Because he was 12 and 14 with his older brother, and he was coming on. And Eddie Van Halen was Stevie's, like, one of his idols. He had three that in the research that I did.
Yeah, and you can hear it. If you listen to, I don't want to turn this into another Stevie Ray Vaughan episode, but if you listen to, like, the blues guitar players prior to Stevie, it was a little more slow and, they would do some fast stuff. But then what you hear in Stevie is that fast shredding style, right? Incorporated into the blues.
Which is Eddie's.
Which, Eddie really kind of made that popular.
Okay.
I mean, people were doing some of that, but Eddie just kind of blew everybody's mind away when he came out.
No kidding.
So he was, and we can get into some of the technical stuff. I can take us through, but do you have more on the kind of background before we go there?
No, other than just like his first band, he and Alex got in a band in the fourth grade elementary school, and they basically started making money that way. And
awesome.
He never learned how to read music. And his two biggest influencers on the electric guitar were Eric Clapton and Jimmy Page, and he really it went more toward Jimmy Page more than Eric, even though he idolized Eric Clapton.
Interesting.
And then his he was a Gibson Les Paul guy too, like Stevie Ray was. Except Eddie was interesting.
Stevie Ray Vaughan was a Fender Strat guy.
Well, apparently their first was I thought
Oh, but Stevie started with a Les Paul back in the day.
The Les Paul. And then Eddie Van Halen, he went into where he started like parting out guitars and building his own, and that's when you saw these really cool, funky-looking guitars.
So his famous guitar was called the Franken-Strat because he kind of took a Strat and changed, the pickups on it, changed the bridge, put a tremolo on, did lots of stuff that people had not done before to it.
Nice.
And so it was always called the Franken-Strat, and it was it had the stripes on it, the real, obnoxious, red and black stripes. That was the Franken-Strat, but it gave a very unique sound. And if you listen to their sound, he got it through that, also through the amplifiers and the way he used amplifiers.
Okay.
So he created a signature sound. It's actually called the Brown sound, right? Oh. So if you're an electric guitar, somebody says, say you go to record an album, producer says, hey, man, why don't you use a Brown sound on that? I think it sounds good. People know what that means.
Okay.
And know how to tune it in, So he had that signature, unique sound, kind of like Stevie Ray. We talked about he had a unique sound.
Yeah.
You could just hear, and you could say just by listening to it, that's Eddie Van Halen.
Well, let me give you the other three things that I know about. One is I had a huge crush on his first wife, Valerie Bertinelli.
Oh yeah, what show was she in?
It was like the family with a redheaded mom.
Right.
Good times at
One Day at a Time.
One Day at a Time.
One Day at a Time.
And so she was in that as a youngster, and she was so cute. I just had a huge crush on Valerie Bertinelli.
Yeah.
And then the second thing was that.
But one thing on Valerie Bertinelli, her and Eddie kind of looked alike. Yeah. They kind of looked alike.
And they somehow divorced, but then she still stayed very close. Like she was, I think, with him and his second wife while he died. She was very, very close, and then they had one son, Wolfgang. And okay, so let me get through my two other things. Two, that he actually had 3 patents for some of the guitar building he had. And then the only thing that I know about is really that one thing he's really known for, that's that tapping, that double, both hands on the fretboard, which I thought was really cool. And that's about the extent, other than being a huge Van Halen
I know
fan.
what one of his patents were. I don't know what the other. Do you happen to know what the 3 were by any chance?
I read it, but I already forgot. It's some guitar stuff. I have no idea.
One was kind of this thing that you could put under the electric guitar, like if you're standing, and it would hold it up at kind of the angle that Eddie would use for tapping.
Oh, nice.
So I've seen that patent before, but I don't know what the other 2 were.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, he was very innovative in that way. But he also was like a complete guitar player, right? Okay. Very good rhythm guitar player, and one of the best rhythm guitar players you ever hear. Obviously, he could kill it with solos.
Okay.
And, like we talked about with Stevie Ray Vaughan, where it was just an extension of him. Yeah. Same thing. He could just sit down in front of 100,000 people in an arena and just play by himself while the rest of the band was on break.
Well, I told you, I sat through kind of the 20-minute Eruption solo that he did, that he's really famous for, and it was amazing. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was like the rest of the band, everybody else could have just gone and take a nap for a while. Mm-hmm. And then he was just out there doing his thing. And then I loved how he puts his cigarette, a burning cigarette. He put it at the end of it, the fretboard, and it was just awesome.
Yeah, yeah. He played a solo on "Beat It" with Michael Jackson.
Oh, did he really? That was him.
That was him.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, that was him.
Oh, I totally know that.
Yeah, that was Eddie Van Halen.
Huh. I'll be darned.
And he was also a very good piano player growing up.
Well, that was the funny thing, is because that band, they had his Wikipedia page. They said he and Alex had an elderly piano teacher once they got over to Venice Beach or wherever they settled in California, and he basically just decided he didn't care anything about sheet music. He didn't want to learn it, but he just kind of, in all his recitals, he just would improvise. Just
really?
Even piano, that he was just that good of a musician. Right. He just kind of went along. It could be Beethoven, and he's just sitting there just improvising.
Right. That was one of the kind of issues that kind of caused the David Lee Roth split. Oh. Because, with the 1984 album, Eddie wanted to play more keyboards, and keyboards were, big deal back then.
Yeah.
So if you think about Jump, it starts out with a keyboard part.
Yeah.
And David Lee Roth wasn't on board with that. He's like, dude, we're a metal band. You play guitar. Why you want to, start doing that? So there was some friction there with
I didn't know that.
And then if you listen to the music after Sammy Hagar comes in, from that era. There's a lot of piano and keyboard in that music also. So that caused part of it. But hey, I got a clip here that kind of highlights the genius of Eddie Van Halen.
Okay, I'm ready.
It's from this song called Ice Cream Man.
Okay.
Which is kind of this acoustic kind of, fun song. So what you're going to hear is acoustic at first with, just killer rhythm guitar acoustic playing.
Okay.
And then it just suddenly turns into heavy rock.
He goes crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you'll hear some cool rock rhythm guitar, like really, really good rhythm.
Okay.
And then it goes into the solo that just is, mind-boggling. So,
all right. Let's listen.
Well, I'm usually passing by just about 11 o'clock. I never stop. I'm usually passing by just around 11 o'clock.
Pushing that David Lee Roth.
And if you let me cool you one time, you'll be my regular stop. All right, boys. I'm putting my vanilla Dixie cups on flavors and push up to under ice cream man. Stop me when I'm passing by. See now all my flavors are guaranteed to satisfy. Yes, I'm your ice cream man. Stop me when I'm passing by.
I mean, just great rhythm guitar.
Ice cream man. Stop me when I'm passing by. This is all my flavors are guaranteed to satisfy. One time. Stop me when I'm passing by. I'm the ice cream man. Stop me when I'm passing by.
So, the tapping's in there, but also just his regular lead playing is just phenomenal.
It is.
Even if he never had the tapping, he'd still be, one of the most amazing.
Andrew, why don't you give us a few bars of Eddie Van Halen impersonation? Not yet. You need to go get your guitar.
I'm tuning right now.
Okay.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
tune that
All right.
thing
Well,
up.
just get her done, man.
That'll be
Get that
good.
sucker ready. I want to hear. Because you were so good on piano in one of the episodes prior.
Yeah.
Oh, I know Van Cliburn.
I need let me, I got to tune up and then.
If you don't
I gotta
mind.
crack my knuckles.
Yeah, if you don't mind. That'd give me a lot of joy.
He
just
also
hearing you play.
demonstrated his guitar skills on the Stevie Ray Vaughan episode at the end.
Oh, I forgot. I forgot about that.
Brought a whole band with him that day.
Yeah. And then isn't it you that have impersonated the cracks and pops of the Earth's atmosphere as well?
I've done that spot on.
You've done some and the Baby Chicks. You did Baby Chicks one day.
Scientists on Earth call it.
I love that. Okay, so
Mr. Zeeb Zop Zoop Dop Deep Dop.
all right, so then
Okay, boomer.
That's what Andrew's saying about this episode.
Okay, boomer.
all right, so very sad about Eddie's passing, but let's go to Dimebag Darrell. So he is a Texas guy, and you basically almost went to high school with the
Texas guy, grew up in Arlington, went to Arlington High School.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about him. You and I, neither one of us are like super heavy metal guys.
Yeah,
but,
I'm not. I mean, I like the kind of Van Halen style of metal, but the Pantera stuff was a little bit darker. I was never really into that.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool that, and everybody kind of at Arlington High School thought it was cool that, this guy was kind of, killing it that way.
Right.
I knew a lot of people that knew him and knew other members of the band. They go hang out, stuff like that. I never knew the guys. But it was really, really cool to see that. What Dimebag's idol was Eddie Van Halen,
Right.
And you can hear that in his music too. I've got a clip, one of his solos, but idolized him, and always wanted to meet Eddie Van Halen. So finally, years and years later, after Pantera was done, they had started a band called Damage Plan. He got to go out and fly out to meet Eddie. And I'm not sure exactly where the concert was, but they flew over. Eddie Van Halen, of course, is known for being just an incredibly nice guy, and just a great human being. There's all kinds of stories you'll find. And so Eddie, has a limo pick them up at the airport, comes to the show, hangs out with them. Dimebag and his brother, so Dimebag played guitar, his brother played drums.
Yeah, Vinnie Paul.
Yeah. And so, Eddie was like, dude, man, it's so cool that you and your brother, you play guitar, you play drums, me and Alex, that's what we did, and, just really love that. And they just kind of hit it and formed an instant friendship.
Nice.
Dimebag's just in awe, finally getting to meet his idol.
Right.
And so his brother said, on the plane ride home, he said, Dimebag looked at me and said, you know what, man, if this plane went down right now, I'd be good because I finally got to meet my idol, Eddie Van Halen.
Nice.
So just, really, really
that is cool.
Interesting kind of thing. But where it actually ties back into something very touching is that was 2 weeks before Dimebag Darrell was shot.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
Only 2 weeks?
It was only 2 weeks before.
Oh, my gosh. I had no idea.
Mm-hmm. It was 2 weeks. And, 2 weeks later, they're playing, his band's playing a show in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
And they would always, him and his brother, before every show, forever, they would do a high five and say Van Halen.
Van Halen.
And then run out on stage and just start killing it. Right?
Nice.
So they're in Columbus, Ohio. They do their high five. They say, yell Van Halen, go out, start playing. And
what's your term? Like when you're ready to party, what's your go-to term?
I don't party.
But what about you, Andrew? Do you have I'm ready to party thing, and I say this Hoo-yah or Van Halen?
I say Mr. Zeep's out.
Okay. I knew there was something out there.
Man.
Okay. Anyway,
well, what's yours?
Welcome to How to Be a Texan.
No, it's
that's your phrase for wanting to party.
No, it's
so you're at home. Welcome to How to Be a Texan.
No. His is gonna drink some beer, smoke some cigarettes, eat some chicken fried steak.
Yeah.
Smoke some cigarettes, have some chicken fried steak, and then drink some beer.
That's good, Andrew. That's perfect.
Well, that's not
I
a
asked
bad way to
Siri
go.
how many Mexicans there were. And she said 130
What about
million.
Mexicans?
I don't know.
When did I call out the Mexicans?
I don't know, but you.
I asked Siri how many Mexicans there were. And she said 130 million.
Jeez.
Sounds interesting to me.
Yeah, Trump likes that kind of talk.
Gosh almighty. All right, so back to Dimebag.
Yeah, so anyway, this crazy nut,
And doesn't Dimebag also stand for a dose of heroin or something? Dimebag, a dime bag of something?
I think it's more a dime bag of marijuana.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah.
I
wasn't going to go there.
I'm not a big drug inhaler.
Well, clearly you are. You're injecting this.
I like to inhale a
A
dime
dime
bag of
bag
heroin.
is a specified amount of an illegal drug,
Oh, okay.
Specified
packaged and
amount.
sold for a fixed price.
Dime bag.
Thanks for inserting that into the.
I'm just saying, when I hear dime bag, I think of my days in in NARC.
When you were a narc.
Just kidding. I was never a narc. I don't know anything about it. I'm an idiot. So anyway, all right.
So
keep
anyway,
going.
so they high five. They say Van Halen go on
Van
stage.
Halen.
This
Yeah.
guy, this nut,
Okay.
shoots him on stage.
Okay.
And he ends up dying.
Yeah.
That was 2 weeks after he had finally met his idol.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of detail around that story. But the point is, when his brother is getting the funeral together,
Okay.
he reaches out to Eddie Van Halen and says, man, it'd mean a lot to Dimebag if you could recreate that yellow striped guitar. I think he used it on Van Halen 2.
Oh, yeah.
He said he would love, he said that would mean a lot to our family. We'd even like to put it into the coffin with Dimebag. And Eddie was like, okay, let me make sure. He said, no problem at all. Make sure now, is it the red or the yellow? He says, yeah, it's the yellow one. Eddie's like, yeah, no problem. I'll make a replica. I'll bring it with me when I come to the funeral.
Okay.
The very touching thing about it is when Eddie comes to the funeral, he doesn't bring a replica. He brings the actual legendary guitar that he used.
That's cool.
On the album.
That's very thoughtful.
And but Eddie couldn't go in, so I think his brother took it in there and put it with him. So just a very touching thing. And for me, I guess the point of that story is it was, number one, my way to tie this back to Texas.
Yeah. Yeah.
But number two, it is more about Eddie Van Halen and just the kind of just awesome human being that he was.
Sounds like it.
And you'll find lots and lots of stories, especially now they're coming out. But
right.
And he had his challenges too. He struggled with addiction and lots of kind of things. But every time you saw him, he was smiling. He always had that smile on his face.
Right.
and he was just a generally good human being.
He looked like a joy-filled fellow.
Yep,
So,
yep.
And if you've got that kind of God-given skill and gift to be able to play that well, my gosh, I'd be smiling.
Might as well
all the
be
time,
happy
too.
about it. Yeah.
That's right. Hey, what's this? Andrew, you ready yet? You got everything kind of cracked up and tuned up yet?
Yeah, sure. Let me just give this a go.
Oh, Andrew, nice.
That's legit, Andrew. Panama. I learned how to play this in 8th grade. This is amazing, but you're so much better.
I like how you're playing the drums on the side.
How do you do that? I play the drums with my feet, actually.
Oh,
Wow.
man. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Well, I did. I mean, I learned how to play. I'm terrible compared to you two masters of the guitar.
I'm not a master of the guitar.
Well, both of you, Andrew and Kevin, are both phenomenal guitarists. But, hey, I've been playing for 40 years also. And this was my very first, no, wait a minute. Rock Me Like a Hurricane was my first rock
nice.
song by the Scorpions. The Panama was number 2 by Eddie Van Halen.
It's a good song.
Oh, they're awesome. So anyway,
Good stuff.
fantastic. All right, well, hey, thanks for walking us through this really deep tie to Texas.
It was an amazing tie-in, wasn't it?
Actually, it was really good.
All right.
Nice. Well, hey, I appreciate you guys listening. And actually, I really enjoyed learning about Dimebag Darrell and Pantera.
Did you know that story? Did you know that connection?
No, it was I didn't realize it was only in 2004.
No, I think it was in 97, wasn't it?
No, he was killed December 8, 2004.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this was only 16 years ago.
Oh, interesting. I
So,
thought
yeah.
it was earlier than that. Why did I think that?
So I didn't even know. Why did Van Halen do a Happy Trails song?
It's at the end of the Diver Down album.
Is it really?
Yeah.
What a random
It's the last song.
Is that David Lee Roth singing Dumb Badita?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What a terrible song.
All right. Eddie Van Halen, legend, awesome person. Happy to honor him today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Appreciate it.
look us up on iTunes and Spotify and everywhere else where you can find a podcast and leave us a review. Adios.
Yep.